Wega was a German company founded in Stuttgart in 1923, which became one of the pioneers of radio electronics in Germany. In the mid-20th century, the name Wega was associated with stylish, high-quality audio systems, but over time, the brand's fortunes changed. In this video, we will trace the history of Wega, from the first radio receivers of the 1920s to the merger with Sony Corporation, and find out what ultimately happened to this legendary company. The company was founded by engineers Ferdinand Hammer and Fritz Müller, but by the end of its first year, it was on the verge of bankruptcy. The company was saved by entrepreneur Hugo Metzger, who took over management at the end of 1924. In 1926, Metzger renamed the company, choosing the melodious name Wega in honor of the star Vega. In the same decade, Wega released its first radio receivers, such as the Wega R3A model, which, thanks to its elegant design, was even exhibited in the Berlin Museum of Communication until its destruction during the war. If you enjoy this kind of in-depth audio and AV history, you can support the channel using the links in the description. This helps keep these videos coming regularly. Despite some successful models, Wega remained a relatively small company in the pre-war years. It was not until 1936 that the company began producing super heterodyne receivers, lagging behind its competitors by about 5 years. Wega was unable to take a leading position in the market of the 1930s. On the eve of World War II, the company employed about 250 people, and the brand did not have wide coverage in the country. Nevertheless, the accumulated experience and reputation for quality assembly laid the foundation for survival in difficult years. During World War II, the Wega factory partially switched to military orders, but continued to produce civilian radio receivers for export. The enterprise survived several bomb hits, sustaining relatively minor damage. In 1946, shortly after the end of the war, Wega introduced a new model of a dual-circuit universal receiver. A total of about 15,000 such devices were produced. By this time, management had passed to Dr. Mott, Hugo Metzger's son-in-law, and the company remained a family business. With the return of peacetime, Wega gradually regained its position in the radio market. After the currency reform of 1948, the company established the production of new models, ranging from inexpensive single-tube receivers in wooden cases to more complex 6-circuit super heterodyne receivers in Bakelite cases. The 1949 Wega Regina radio receiver was particularly successful, marking the beginning of the brand's widespread recognition in post-war Germany. In 1952, the company opened a new modern factory in the suburbs of Stuttgart, in the town of Fellbach, symbolizing the growth and renewal of production. Throughout the 1950s, Wega remained a medium-sized player in the consumer electronics market, but its presence gradually grew. While the company had released only about 80 radio models by 1950, by the end of the decade, its product range and production volumes had increased significantly. By the early 1960s, Wega already had a reputation as a reliable radio manufacturer, ready for the new technologies and trends that the hi-fi era would bring. In the 1960s, Wega made the leap from traditional radio receivers to high-quality audio equipment. The company was one of the first in Germany to combine electronic innovations, such as transistors instead of tubes, with cutting-edge industrial design. In 1965, Wega introduced a series of stereo components in a striking modern style. These devices with a combined tube transistor circuit were developed with the participation of young designer Hartmar Tesslinger. A little later, the famous Danish designer Werner Panton, known for his futuristic approach to form and color, was brought in to design Wega's equipment. Unsurprisingly, by the early 1970s, Wega's products, elegant radios, hi-fi systems, and loudspeakers had become known throughout Europe for their avant-garde design and high sound quality. One of the most remarkable products of that period was the Wega 3300, a combined stereo center in the form of a cube-shaped cabinet on wheels, designed by Werner Panton. This unusual device had two sections housing a radio receiver and a vinyl record player, and was available in rosewood veneer or bright lacquered colors, black, white, or orange. The dual turntable built into this model and high-quality speakers turned it into a full-fledged home music system. Devices such as the Wega 3300 emphasized the company's image as an innovator capable of turning audio equipment into a fashionable interior element. Wega's pursuit of combining technology and design reached its peak in the mid-1970s. In 1976, Hartmut Esslinger's team developed the futuristic concept 51K music system for Wega, an elegant all-in-one audio system with a record player, radio tuner, and cassette deck. This set looked so modern for its time that it was later included in the permanent collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Wega confidently entered the era of high-quality stereo, winning the hearts of many music lovers. By the early 1970s, Wega had expanded its range to include video equipment. Back in 1962, the company's engineers developed the experimental WegaVision 2000 television set, a bold prototype with a screen in a futuristic housing. This rarity is now kept in a museum. By the 1970s, the company was already mass-producing televisions. The Wega Color 3016, introduced in 1973, was the brand's first color television built entirely on transistors, without a single tube. It used a delta-gun cathode ray tube, which was cutting-edge at the time. Similar solutions were used by major manufacturers of the era. Thus, Wega was able to make a name for itself in the television industry by offering the European market stylish models with modern technologies. However, competition in the electronics market increased sharply. By the mid-1970s, it was becoming more and more difficult for small firms like Wega to compete with giants such as West German companies, Grundig, Telefunken, and rapidly growing Japanese companies. In 1975, a fateful event took place. Wega was acquired by the Japanese conglomerate Sony. The reasons for the deal were mutually beneficial. For Wega, becoming part of a large corporation promised financial stability and access to advanced technologies, while for Sony, the purchase of the German company opened the door to the European market and allowed it to take advantage of Wega's experience in audio equipment design. After the acquisition, Sony retained the Wega brand and continued to release individual models under this name over the next few years, positioning them as a separate premium line in Europe. In fact, the internal components of the new technology were already being developed by Sony engineers, while the German division was responsible for design and assembly. During this transition period, for example, the Wega Lab Zero series appeared, high-end audio system components created in collaboration with Sony. It included an extremely rare FM tuner with an incredible 10 tuning circuits. For comparison, conventional tuners have 3 to 4 circuits. According to enthusiasts, only about 200 units of this device were produced. The 1979 Lab Zero model marked the pinnacle of Wega's audio engineering achievements, but at the same time, it marked the end of its independent development. After the release of this line, Wega's own production of radio and audio devices was discontinued. By 1980, the factory in Fellbach had been fully integrated into Sony's structure and renamed Sony Wega. Most of the employees switched to manufacturing products for the Japanese corporation. For example, it is known that by 1980, half of the Stuttgart branch's production volume consisted of Sony Trinitron televisions. Thus ended the era of independent Wega. The company became a subsidiary of the global electronics giant. In the following decades, the Wega name continued to be used, but exclusively within Sony's branding. In the 1980s, the Wega logo could still be found on a number of Sony audio and video models, especially those intended for the European market, which supported continuity and respect for the company's German roots. The real second life of the Wega name began in the late 1990s, when Sony decided to highlight its new series of flat-screen CRT televisions. In 1998, the famous Sony FD Trinitron Wega TV appeared, the first flat-screen CRT TV with proprietary display technology, side stereo speakers and a stylish silver body. With this move, Sony effectively revived the Wega brand on a global level, associating it with cutting-edge televisions. Interestingly, in its marketing materials at the time, the company claimed that the name Wega referred to the star Vega and was not directly related to the German company. Nevertheless, the historical heritage clearly made this name a good choice for the new product. In the early 2000s, the Vega line expanded to include other types of Sony televisions. Vega LCDs, early liquid crystal panels, Vega plasmas, plasma panels, and Grand Vega rear projection systems were produced. In fact, until the mid-2000s, almost all high-quality Sony TV screens bore the Vega name, linking the latest digital technologies with the heritage of the classic brand. However, technological progress moved inexorably forward. By 2005, the era of CRT televisions had come to an end, and Sony decided to unify its brands. With the release of the new Bravia LCD TV line in 2005, the Vega name was finally retired. Thus, after 82 years of history, the Vega brand formally ceased to exist. The last TV with this logo rolled off the assembly line, giving way to new Sony brands. Nevertheless, Vega's legacy lives on. For many people of the older generation, the name Vega still evokes warm nostalgia. After all, it was once used to brand beloved radios and tape recorders that brought families together in front of the telly and filled homes with music. Classic Vega devices have now become collector's items, and some models are recognized as true works of industrial art. For example, the Vega Concept 51K audio system mentioned above is now on display at the Museum of Modern Art as a symbol of the combination of technology and design of the 1970s. Thank you for watching. More videos about the history of audio, video, and media technology are coming soon. And, as always, thank you to the channel members for supporting this project.